Back to another market breakdown. Today is February the 1st. As you can see, on the previous week, we actually closed bearish on the previous week. From a weekly perspective of the overall trend, we are bullish overall. Now, from a candle perspective, we did close bearish at all-time high. And you can see where price actually hit the target of 5,000. So now that we're back below here, this 5,000 target went from a support and now operate as a resistance. So as long as price does not remain, do not get back above here, we could be seeing price push down deeper. What do I mean by that? So as you can see from a quarterly standpoint, right, these are levels where price has not came back into yet, right? So that could potentially happen. But our next support level is this level right here from the previous quarter, right? And why did I say about these levels right here is because just from a basic candle behavior standpoint, if price is bullish, right, then on the next candle you expect for price to open, retrace down first before it goes higher. And then if price is bearish, then we expect price to retrace up before it goes back down lower. So that's on every time frame. You may want to use that for the higher time frame though. So that's what I'm pretty much doing right here, right? That's why I get me these levels. So I know price retrace at a certain percentage, and it hasn't tapped into these levels yet, right? But right now we are at a support level, right? So overall, we are bullish, but we're gonna be cautious because we did close bearish, right? Now going into the daily, right? The daily is straight bearish because of how hard we dropped. This was a huge drop on a daily time frame. So what that tells us, I have two time frames I go by, and that's the weekly and daily to get my overall direction. So right now we have two different direction bias. This is a clear downtrend. The only reason why because of how hard it shot down. So and on top of that, right, just from a weekly perspective, we did retrace up at a certain percentage, 2%, and we go to the 4-hour time frame. So right now, we're on this support level. We are oversold right now, right? Coming near a support level. So we go back to what I was telling y'all. From this weekly perspective now, we can see here, just to not forget about the overall picture, we can see how price came all the way down, and price did retrace up to 2%. Where did I get this from? It goes back to we did close bearish, so therefore we're going to see price retrace up. So as you can see, when price is bearish, we expect price to retrace up and continue going down if it is going to continue to go down, right? Because we did close bearish at all-time high. So you can see how prices are already reacting off of this 2% zone, right? And also, for those who want to know how I'm coming up with my retracement levels, just comment below, and I'll be glad to let you know. Maybe make a video on it. And hey, I might even do maybe a live Zoom or a live TikTok. And if you have questions, I don't mind answering questions about how I get my levels and everything, my retracement levels. But yeah, so we are oversold. But right now, just based on what I'm looking at, this is a week where you want to not really do anything. Just kind of wait. Cause our job is not to predict price. Our job is just let market structure tell us a story. So we want to wait till more of a better story form because why? We have two different direction bias on the lower time frame. I mean on the higher time frame, daily and weekly. All right. So just want to kind of wait. Let's look at yields. So this is very key when looking at yields. Right. So on yields, right, we can see how if for those who've been watching, I said once now that yields have broken out of this range that we've been in for a long time, we finally came down to the support level and broke out of it, right? We not only broke out of it and came out to the support level, we also made a clear breaking structure off of the support level, pushing them higher, right? Price retest back, and then we can see how yields is already pushing up higher off of this area, off of this support level, right? So if yields continue to show signs that they want to push up, that's actually going to support gold. I mean, that's not good for gold. I mean, gold can continue to push down further, right? So the fact that we already made this clear breaking structure already showing signs that we can end up, and the fact that we move positive off the support level, that's already showing signs that gold has potential to retrace down deeper. Now, does that mean that gold is going to be in a downtrend? No, it doesn't mean that. In order for gold to go into like I wouldn't say a bearish market, you can say that, from the high, it has to at least drop 25% from the high. If it has not dropped 25% from the current high, then we're not in a we're not in a bearish market. That's with anything, So now if it dropped from the current high and it dropped way below 25%, then at that point, then yeah, you can expect gold to, you know, drop lower until it decides to show signs that want to push up higher. So other than that, right now we're just in a deep retracement. If it decides, if it's decided to continue to go deeper, so it all depends on how yields do as well too. Let's look at DXY. But yeah, just based on that, I would say just wait. I wouldn't do anything to go yet. Not every day is a trading day. Not every week is a trading week. Sometimes you got to just watch and just kind of see how price operate. Trying to take a trade every single day is actually how you lose a lot more money. Our goal is not to, it's quality over quantity. Let's put it like that. Looking at DXY, let's go to the weekly. So we can see here on DXY US dollar index, we can see how we was in a downtrend. We're still in this transition phase. Now we did on the previous week, we did push down, taking this low out, and then price end up closing back above, giving us a nice strong rejection. So what this tells us that sellers was in control at one point and the buyers came back in. So that means this is a major support area, because now why? Because we got 1, 2, 3. We got 3 touches off of the weekly time frame. So this is a major support area. So Anglot in this transition phase, this is where a lot of people actually lose money, because as you can see, when you're in a transition phase, what does it mean? It means price can either reverse and go in the opposite direction, or it can manipulate a lot of people, trap people in, and go back in the same direction. So you gotta be very cautious and wait for your confirmation, which is why I said I wanted to see price break above here. That would have been a strong confirmation. She just pushed higher. As you can see, was in the start of this, and then it just dropped right back down. Now, can that still happen? Can price still retrace up? It could, because of how it rejected off it. We don't know. So right now, other than that, we're still in a transition phase, in a downtrend, but in a transition phase. So for the daily, right? Daily, you can see here that we're clearly in a downtrend still. Price took out this low, right? And we're underneath a resistance, right? So what does that mean is, now if price break above here, then that could be a clear sign to see price push, right? But right now, this operate as a resistance. Now on the 4-hour, we do have a nice clear breaking structure on the 4-hour, so you can see how prices here, as you can see, we lined this up. We had a nice fell low, and the price broke out of it. So what does that tell me? Let's kind of zoom in on this. So what does that tell me is, if price happened to, if we are to, reverse after that liquidity grab based off that rejection off the weekly, right, that we had off this level right here, then price should be able to tap into this support level where it broke out of, and we should see some type of shift on the hour time frame to see it continue to go higher. If not, the moment it breaks below here, right, that'll be a clear sign to see price continue to go back down in this direction. So other than that, we're still bearish for DXY. I'm just be honest, unless it starts showing strength that I want to push up. So we are, like I said, we are in a transition phase, but the transition phase doesn't mean anything. Alone the daily, like for example, let's say if the weekly is in a downtrend, right, but we're in a transition where it could potentially reverse. It's still in a downtrend until the reverse continue fully set up. And as long as the daily stay in a bearish direction, right, then the overall direction is still bearish. Even with this showing us signs that we could push up, we should have to wait for price to, do that. So what that means is this week is bearish. So what that means, if the week is bearish for DXY, right, then we don't do anything until we start. We don't do anything until the bias flip bullish. Now, like I said, we are in a support level, so it is showing signs. It all depends on how it reacts off of this level and if it can break back above here. So what that means for stuff like UJ, right? Well, since we're bearish on DXY, right? Same here. We can see how price on the weekly, we can see how price closed bearish, right? But we had a nice rejection. So if we look here, we can see how on UJ We can see how price opened, came down, and pushed up, right? So we can see how price now, this is still considered bearish. It just means buyers came back in control. But as you can see, sellers still maintain because we still closed way below the previous week. So what that tells me, we're still bearish. And if you look, we're right underneath this range, the previous week before that range. So uh, it just all depends on what this decides to do. But definitely bearish for sure, because that's a clear breaking structure. You can see how price came down, came up, and dropped, broken below this level and this level. So that's a huge drop. So this is definitely bearish. And then on the daily is bearish. As you can see, we are bearish on the we're bearish on the daily, but we also have a, like, you can say a breaking structure, because price came down, came up, came down, and came up. It don't look like it, but it's a breaking structure. It's a small little breaking structure. So on the 4 hour, you can see that kind of breaking structure right here. You can see how price kind of made it a nice fell low and broke out of it. So it all depends how price reacts when it come back down into here. So will this be an area, a zone? Will this be a zone where price react off of and come back into? So if it do come back into here, then we kind of want to see. It all depends on how DXY operate too. So if DXY, and just kind of remember where we at, so you can see how price made a strong rejection. So if anything, you kind of want to see price retrace down, and then kind of see it start pushing back up. But that means DXY guys start doing the same thing. So it just all depends on how we react off this resistance level right here we're currently at, below between this previous week range. So we might start seeing some rejections pushing back down to here, and then from here, I can say this: if it the moment it breaks back below here, then that'd be a clear sign that price can end up pushing down lower. Like I said, we are overall bearish, so it's just a matter of just waiting for everything to line up, to be honest. So other than that, that's my market breakdown for the week. As always, make sure you have proper discipline, proper risk management, and do not overtrade. And I will see you in the next video. On the next, well, I guess on the next market breakdown. Peace.